Well, looks like we're now ready to go over to Photoshop. How excited are you? I hope you're very excited. Anyways, here's a quick way of going over from Lightroom to Photoshop. Just right click on the image and then go down to Edit In and then Edit in Photoshop CC 2015 or whatever Photoshop you're working with, but just says Edit in Photoshop. And you click on that. Photoshop should open up after that and with your image. Now that we're in Photoshop, first thing to do is duplicate your background layer. And that, the keyboard shortcut is either Control J if you're on Windows or Command J if you're on a Mac. Another way to do it is just to take your background layer and come down here. It'll duplicate that as well, and it'll say background copy. And it's just this little item down here on the bottom that says create new layer. But for now, we'll just stick with this one here, the Command J. We'll stick with keyboard shortcuts. Now, what we're going to do is get rid of some of these really annoying lights down here. This is, I believe, a car headlight right here. And some of these other lights, I might keep a little bit of light there. But generally speaking, the brightest lights I'm going to get rid of because they're actually very distracting. So what I'm going to come up here and select the lasso tool. And I'm going to zoom in and move down to some of these spots down here, and then I'm just gonna circle this area and go up to edit and fill, and it should say content aware. Get different methods: foreground, background, color, content aware, pattern, history. Stick with content aware. Normal, blending, opacity 100, just stick with that and click OK. Now, and it disappears. Now, if this was just a straight, pure silhouette, you could just use your brush with a black foreground and just brush it in. But since there's a little bit of information in here, I'm going to use the fill tool. So now let's come over here. Let's see here. Now what I'm going to do, easily enough, healing brush tool. And just kind of adjust the size a little bit and just come in here, get some of these things, and boom. Move over, let me increase the size of the brush. Zero hardness, just come in here, boom, just like that. And don't need it so big, and just come in here a little bit, and we'll just get through here. All right, now I'll speed up real quick. Okay, now that's a finished product right there for that. And come over here, turn off the layer, turn it back on. You see the difference now? Oh yeah. Now, next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit more heavy duty on the noise reduction. And this is actually going to be a very powerful noise reduction software. As you can see, there's still a lot of noise on here that Lightroom does not get, really excessively blurring the image. So the software that I use is probably one of the best that's available for noise reduction, one of the most powerful. Topaz Denoise. It's a paid program, but you can get a 30-day trial period and see if you like it. And I'll include a link to it on the description of this course. And it takes a minute. And I'm going to pause it here real quick. Make sure that this is done on a separate layer too. When it opens up, it will show about 200%. So what we're going to do in this case for noise reduction, as you can see, there's still a little bit. It's not terrible. But what we're going to do is noise reduction on strictly shadow and dark areas. Nothing on any midtones or highlight areas. And there's a little bit here, but most of our noise reduction is going to be in the darker areas. So overall strength is going to be low. Let's start with 10. Looks good. Actually, 10 looks good here. And I'm really definitely going to bring up shadows. As you notice, the darker areas, when you do that, gets more affected than the brighter areas. And that's pretty much where you want to do it because most noise is found in shadow. That's just, for whatever reason, how camera sensors are designed. That's what happens when you shoot with high ISO. Shadows are going to have more noise than the highlights. I'm looking through here, just making sure it looks good. Okay, yeah, we're good. And all I'm going to do is just check for color noise, and it shouldn't be a big problem. Like I said, this is a very powerful program, and preview modes are up here. What we're working with when I was doing shadow is luminoise, and actually you can click on it and it takes away all the colors and it just shows you illumination noise. And then you can also go over to color noise, and it actually doesn't look like there's really any in here. You could go to also color specific, such as red and blue. And in reality, there's really no color noise or very minimal noise, color noise issue. Maybe a little couple of these dark blotches. That's kind of blue color noise. So I might just come down here where it says adjust color blue, and we'll bring it up just a hair. You're talking about just little touch, small movements. Big movements you don't want. You just want to do very minimal. And I'm really not seeing anything, so I'm going to bring it back down. What you're going to have is little dark splotches here and there. And when you move it, the color will become a little more uniform. But I'm just not really seeing any serious issues with it. So I think I'm going to call this for noise reduction. Now I'm going to go down in the preview mode up here, RGB. And now what I'm going to do is do some detail recovery and blur reduction. Even I don't think detail recovery is really needed on this one specifically. Each image is different. All I'm going to do is just do a minimal blur reduction. Now if you go up 100%, you can see some serious haloing and jagged edges. You don't want that. But you want to start with that and kind of work your way down. Slowly but surely, work your way down until you no longer see any haloing or jagged edges, sharp edges. And let's go back down to 0. And just go up. Now, I'm only going to need a small amount on this image. And the idea is avoid bringing back noise again and creating jagged edges. I'm at 200%, so let's go down to 100%. That's actually looking pretty darn good. And see how brights I did not affect noise reduction in the highlight areas. It's all in the dark because I primarily adjusted the shadow reduction. So, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. So let's apply it. And it'll take a minute. It'll take actually a good minute to do it. So I'll pause here. Okay, it's done processing. And like I said before, you gotta do these on separate layers. And I'm actually going to rename these layers here now. This was, I'll just say cloning. And this is noise reduction. We'll just leave it at that to keep it organized and keep us from getting too confused. But you can see 100%. Let's make sure Control 1 to view 100%. So on a keyboard shortcut, Control 1. Control 0 shows fits the screen. Control 1 is viewing 100%. And use a keyboard spacebar to be able to move the image around. And it's actually looking really good. Let's go up here in the dark area, kind of in between dark and brighter areas here, and turn it off. I don't know if the screen and this monitor or what the video really will show it, but I'm noticing a definite difference in the noise. Definite difference in the noise in the dark areas. There's a significant difference. So Control 0. Now overall, let's actually go down bottom here. See, actually, you can really tell a difference down here. Boom. That's turned off. Boom. Turned on. Yeah. Big difference. Very big difference. But since there's not significant amounts of sharp detail in here, I'm not too concerned about any blurring. Mostly just the edges here, but this is not really a big deal. Personally, for this specific image, I'm not too worried about that.